When I came to Israel when I was 15, I thought everything was beautiful and just and positive. It took me some years to realize that there were problems and that it was my obligation as a citizen, as a human being, as a Jew, as a rabbi, to work for justice and to criticize the government and to try to change. When my children were born in Israel, I tried very hard to make sure that my children would grow up understanding these issues, and I'm happy that they understood at a much earlier age than I did. So my older daughter refused to go to the army. My two other children, they went to the army, but they were not involved in violence at all. Now they're all in their 20s, and they're working for these causes in a way that makes me proud. So sometimes I feel that the only thing I've achieved has been to be part of the society that is the subculture that's trying to change it, to express to Palestinians my sadness, my regret, my solidarity, and to try to organize help from around the world. And I know it's hard when you're outside of Israel to get involved, because sometimes Israelis suspect that someone who's criticizing the government from outside is really an anti-Semite, hates Jews and doesn't care if the Jews are killed again like Hitler did and all that. So the fact that there is an Israeli subculture which also says these things, I think is helpful. That's the strategy, is to be in solidarity with human rights work around the world and to bring this voice into Israel. We don't do enough. I think that some Israelis are not sure what to do. There is a majority that goes along with the government right now. We have a difficult job in convincing people that there's another way, that there's that we can live together, that we will both benefit. Both sides will benefit. It's not like anything that's good for the Palestinians will be bad for us. There's an expression, I once had a sweatshirt, and it said on it, share the land, harvest the peace. If we share, then we'll all enjoy a peace. So Israelis want peace, but when you ask them, what do they mean when they say they want peace? They say, we want them to leave us alone. Meaning that if only they stop bothering us, there'll be peace. But we forget that there are refugees, millions of refugees that lost their homes, that there is injustice. We're using more water, more land than Palestinians are using. This doesn't have to be this way. But I can use stronger words. I do use stronger words. I consider certain characteristics of our lifestyle to be colonialism. You come from the outside, you build your society, and you push out the people living there before. I was raised as a Zionist. I came to Israel as a Zionist. I'm now feeling that Zionism was a bad answer to our problem. We suffered insecurity in Europe. You know what happened in Europe. But we chose a solution which I think that many Europeans chose this also, but it causes Europeans right now to think maybe it wasn't a good solution, or for sure. I don't want to make people angry, but look, I was recently in San Francisco, in Santa Clara, in Santa Barbara. I was all places where Spanish names were brought to the New World, right? We know what happened to the people who were living with these Spanish people. Now, it's history. So I want Israelis also to recognize that being selfish and looking after your own desires and your own needs is not acceptable when you're causing someone else suffering. And we have caused Palestinian suffering. We have to recognize that, that just because we're stronger right now, we have better connections with Washington or with the European Union, doesn't give us the right to do this. And that's something that I think that Europeans can understand because of European history. So yes, Zionism was a, I would call it a European answer. But is it a Jewish answer? I want to separate Zionism from Judaism. I'd like Jews to recognize the danger of nationalism. In Israel, nationalism is a very wonderful word. But if you're European, you know what people did in the name of nationalism.